Hi, and welcome to 21st Century Healthcare Consultants' official podcast, Home Care Today. I'm Kate Rose, and I'll be your host for the next few minutes. We're here to serve you. We're here to offer information about the industry of home health care, but not just the industry itself, but also the people that make it tick, that make it run. We're talking today to Kelly Rogers, who's going to be with us for the next few minutes. Kelly, as I recall, you are I'm going to read this from my cheat sheet here, you are the head of Aging in Place Partnerships at Longbridge Financial. Thanks for joining me today. I'm really looking forward to our conversation, and I know our viewers are too.
Thank you so much for having me today. I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm honored that we are the only financial institute organization out there that has an aging in place department. So Longbridge Financial, I knew it was going to be home when they created this department, created this position for me, which is very unique. And you just don't see that in a lot of these financial corporate, companies in finance.
I would imagine that is the case. So do me a favor and help us to understand a little bit about where you come from. Tell us how you ended up where you are and what it is that you actually do now at Longbridge Financial.
You bet. I'll try to keep it short and not get too emotional, but
It's okay.
I always like asking as well, kind of like, what's your why? Why, how did you get into this?
Mm-hmm.
What's your why? What's that emotional core value behind what you do? Because otherwise it's just a job. So I actually started off going to school for child development, psychology, sociology, and then I switched it to gerontology instead, as my mom started up a referral agency for seniors here in the Sacramento area in California called Respect Your Elders. And
Mm-hmm.
what we found is there's tons of resources out there for seniors. Most seniors want to age in place. There's tons of resources and services and things out there. The problem is it almost felt like it was a disservice for me to know what all these resources are, put everybody in touch with them, for them to just call back and go, hey, this service is great, this place is great. How do I afford this? My
Mm.
insurance doesn't cover it, Medicare doesn't cover it, Medi-Cal, Medicaid. So that was when I kind of started looking at my job a little differently and going kind of, what is the point of being a resource specialist if people have no way of paying for this and have kind of a misunderstanding that home care is going to be covered through their insurances when
Mm-hmm.
typically it's really not. And it's a big shock and people don't realize it till they're already in the situation. Nobody's researching, oh, I wonder if mom falls in 5-10 years from now and needs some assistance in home modifications and home care, what that would cost. Nobody's proactive on that.
Right, and the last time that you have to try to unearth that information, do the research, get the resources in place, you're at that moment of critical need. So to be able to
Correct.
have somebody like yourself, like your group, to be able to help people in advance to get them in position, I think that's an incredible service. So your personal background as far as the studies that you've done with your education and the work that you've done, it sounds like that this has been your trajectory for quite a while.
It has. I'll give away my age here. In
Only if you want to.
Right. I just turned 50, so hey, we're
Yay!
doing all right. We're halfway there. So, I actually, it was 1992 when I started going to school for gerontology, and
And for
it
our
was.
audience, most of our audience probably knows what gerontology means, but would you please explain that?
Yes, most people will confuse it with geriatrics, so I appreciate you pulling that out of me. So, gerontology is the psychology and sociology of the aging process, and I
Mm-hmm.
specialized in dementia and Alzheimer's, which is a horrible thing, but it's fascinating as well because wherever there is a problem, there's opportunity.
There you
And so,
go.
the more that we dive into some of these uncomfortable things, the more we can understand it. The better we can be, whether we're the child of the aging parent. My stepmother has Alzheimer's,
Mm-hmm.
herself, or we're the caregiver, or we're a care provider, or an advocate, or so forth. So that is kind of what turned me on and switched me over to now helping people financially understand what resources they have to supplement their income or their insurance so they
Mm-hmm.
can afford the things that they've worked so hard their whole life for. Then they get into those retirement years. And then as soon as, they need assistance with any kind of activity of daily living, that's when, things just become that unknown and people have no idea what the cost is
Mm-hmm.
to accomplish that primary goal that our older adults have worked so hard for, which is to retire and to hopefully be able to retire and age in place as much as possible safely.
Well, Kelly, in your estimation, what would you say are the most significant challenges for folks, the elderly today?
It is, I'm a professional, so you'd think I've got it all. Oh, Kelly's parents are probably just dialed and zipped on in. No, even a professional. I work with financial planners. You would think, their parents are probably all financially set up for the most perfect retirement and have every speed
Yeah.
bump of the way planned. It's not true. Even us
What's
experts.
what's the old saying? The cobbler's children have no shoes.
Exactly. So I would say the hardest thing is having these difficult conversations with your parents prematurely,
Mm.
proactively. I did this with my father over 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
He has medical issues and he's caring for his wife 24/7 care with no extra support. First, it was about, well, I don't have the money, honey. I said, Dad, you're a veteran. Let's look at your funding options, right? Because even though, yes, I specialize in home equity, I'm partners with everybody else out there, and we believe in collaborating and stacking as many funding
Right.
options as possible that don't cancel each other out.
Right.
That's the only way to get by. So I said, Dad, you're going to qualify for VA aid and attendance. They'll help pay for some of the in home care because you can't be the 24/7 caregiver. How many times do we see seniors caring for seniors, the
Yep.
spouse caring for the spouse? And then what happens? I'm gonna try really hard not to get emotional. I just lost my father. That was
I'm
why I had to
sorry.
reschedule with you. Yeah, and even though the resources were right there, it was going to be paid for, right? Because they'll say, "Oh, I can't afford it."
Mm-hmm.
He said he was going to do it. We had that hard conversation. He never did because he's like, "Oh, I can do it. Oh, she's getting better. Oh, I'm feeling better."
Yeah.
So it. A lot of the times I want to say that the finances are the problem, and they really are. Only 14% of our seniors can afford home care services.
Mm.
But then even when you find the money and they do qualify for something,
Yeah.
it's that resistance. It's that not
It's
wanting a stranger in the home. It's that
yes.
independence and the dignity and the respect.
Yes.
And I would say, lead that horse to water, but you can't make him drink. So even having proactive conversations is really important. Follow up and follow through. I wished I would have done better on that myself.
Well, I mean, Kelly, you're not alone. We went through the same thing with my parents and with my father, who passed away a couple of years ago as a veteran and was not informed of his benefits and was even less interested because, in his mind, it seemed like it somehow denoted weakness that he needed help. So I hear where you're coming from, and I'm sorry for your loss. This is a conversation that's so big and so deep in our country, well, across the planet, of course, but in America, it seems we have that rugged individualism. We have that stiff-necked, I'm going to do it myself, I'm going to get her done, whereas in some other parts of the world, caring for the elderly is more of a community thing. It's just a part of the DNA of life, from everything from being part of each other's lives when everybody's healthy, but then as folks begin to get old, we take care of each other. And that's not always the case here in the States.
Absolutely. We're actually seeing more multi generational. So that what
Good.
you're talking about, that tribe, right? That family tribe,
Mm-hmm.
where we see in maybe other countries and so forth, where that is the norm, and it's not the norm here in the United States. We're actually seeing a huge trend. I'm a total geek, nerdo. I love doing stats. We're
Good.
seeing a huge trend, and we're a big supporter as well with multi generational living, where yes, it's one house or one property, but it's set up in a way where it's not just for the aging parent. It's not
Mm-hmm.
just for the kid. It's not just for the caretaker. It's like this is each part of the house is designed and remodified in a certain way to where it works for each individual. But then they also have their own privacy as well. But then they also have, services they need just right through a door or a hallway or a patio.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. How do people get information? And we'll get into this a little bit more as we continue to talk today, but just off the cuff, for somebody who's listening to what you're sharing right now, if they're interested in getting more information, how would they go about that?
Absolutely. What I would recommend is, as you heard before, I partner with VA, with long-term
Hmm.
care insurance, life settlements. We are about Medicare, Medi-Cal, Medicaid. We got friends and partners in all those places.
Uh-huh.
So um, I am not the immediate resource one-stop shop, but we're a part of, the National Aging in Place Council. We're members with the, American Society of Aging and so forth. And they have a lot of resources as well. They're a better, bigger platform. However, to contact me directly, I would say, you can log on, you can go to longbridge.com,
Hmm.
but I'm going to go ahead and give you my phone number and my email as well. Is that okay right now?
Absolutely. If you're ready for the traffic.
I'm ready for the traffic. You know what? Because although, yes, my direct team, helps people with accessing their home equity in order to age in place, whether it's multi generational housing, home care, home modifications, anything
Hmm.
along those lines. If I don't offer the immediate service, I got a guy, I got a girl, I got someone
Good.
nationally, locally, and so forth. So
Yeah, go
my
for it.
office. All right, toll free. Here we go. Watch, careful what you wish for.
Yeah.
My toll free number is 888-763-9853. Once again, 888-963-9853. That's probably the best way to get me because my email address is really long.
All right. Well, we're going to keep your phone number, and we'll make sure that we post that as well for you. So tell me, let's keep going with your story. You came into the industry. You came into this. This is a heartfelt connection that people in the. I was having a conversation with a friend just before we went on air today, and we were talking about the fact that there's a heartfelt connection that people in the healthcare industry have. For you don't do it to get rich. I mean, sometimes you can, but ultimately you're there because you just want to help people, and you want to help them in ways that are truly meaningful. And you have a specific niche in the way that you're dealing with the elderly and the experience that you have, your education, et cetera, et cetera. Tell us again how you made that transition from in the early days in the 1990s to where you are now. What led you to Longbridge?
Well, I'm just a regular story like the rest of you. It took a catastrophe. It took my grandfather, who was about 15 years older than my grandmother. When he passed away, he was the only one who worked. He ran with the Rat
Mm,
Pack, worked for MGM. My grandmother was very much used to a very affluent, rock star kind of life, but
uh-huh.
had never physically worked. So when Flavio passed away, unfortunately, there was no income. There was
Mm,
nothing. All grandma had was this home completely paid off for in Arizona. And she's making me promise not to put her in a nursing home. She wants
yeah.
to age in place. I said, all right, grandma, I can move you out here with me. I'm not moving to California. So I'm like,
Yeah.
what am I going to do? And that's when I looked into the scary option of the reverse mortgage, or something known as the home equity conversion mortgage, which is actually how it works today. Reverse mortgage, that old slang word,
Mm-hmm.
that is when they were not being monitored. That is when there was change of title. Today's reverse mortgages are not like that. All that changed in 1989 under Ronald Reagan with the Home Equity Conversion Mortgage Demonstration Act. So a reverse mortgage back in the day, they were bad,
Mm-hmm.
100%, right? Today, they're actually insured by FHA. They're
Mm.
non-recourse loans insured by FHA. It was when I had to learn, because I had no, Flavio wasn't a veteran. We didn't have insurance. I went through all the checklists.
Mm-hmm.
There was nothing. And it was like, okay, we got to look at the home equity. And I heard reverses were stealing homes from little old ladies. That's what I thought as a gerontologist. That's why I never recommended them when people would call me back and say, hey, these services are great, but I don't have insurance, doesn't cover it. I don't know how to pay for it. I wished I knew what I knew now, but that fear keeps us from educating ourselves.
Right.
So I had to be in this emergency situation where I was forced to educate myself on it. It was when I found out what it's not and how it works today and how it's insured non-recourse through FHA, and me, the heir, isn't going to get screwed over, with some
Right.
big debt. So when I looked into that, talked to my grandmother about it, we went ahead and did what's called a a home equity conversion line of credit.
Mm-hmm.
Owe anything on the home, so it opened up a few $100,000, like $300,000 in a line of credit where she didn't have to rob Peter to pay Paul. She wasn't having to turn the money right back into the bank every month.
What a godsend that must have been for your family.
Yep, she was diagnosed with cancer.
Mm.
They gave her less than a year to live. Well, because we had that line of credit, not a standard HELOC, but a
Mm-hmm.
home equity conversion line of credit set up, which is a long-term line of credit, Grandma was able to pull in money. So she had home care, she had health
Mm.
care, she had hospice, she had medical equipment, she had alternative medicine per her choice.
Mm-hmm.
She was able to afford everything. So she lived for 4 years. 3 years longer than expected because of that one-on-one in-home care.
Yep.
I am the worst case scenario. She actually wound up cashing out more than the home was worth. When she passed away, Kate, the home was actually worth less than what it was when we originally did the loan. So of
Mm.
course, people are freaking out. Oh, Kelly, you did it. And I said, no, because I did my homework. It was insured. So grandma cashed out on like $500,000 of in-home care, aging in place services, did live a very quality life, even with cancer,
Mm-hmm.
was able to remain in her home. I was able to keep the promise. And when the bill came due and she did pass away and she owed, 500,000 and the home was only worth 400 because the market went down, that $100,000 was covered by FHA. FHA
Wow.
paid the lender the difference, not me. So no, I
Wow.
didn't inherit anything, but I'll trade that in a million years. And when I figured out, oh my gosh, I'm worst case scenario, and this worked out beautifully in worst case scenario, that's when I made the switch. It's
That makes
personal.
sense. Yeah, because imagine if it's not the worst case scenario, and I will say that probably a lot of people feel like theirs is a worst case scenario when you're actually going through it. But if it can support that type of circumstance and still come out on top, so to speak, then this sounds like it could be a viable option for some folks.
Yeah, not right for everyone. If if the home is free and clear, you need it to be that way. I've had, older adults where they're taking care of their younger sister,
Mm-hmm.
who's maybe in their 50s, and they're disabled. And we will ask questions. It's not just, oh, you want a loan, here's how much it is, and
Of
here's what it
course.
costs. Because it's not right for everyone. It is a long term. If someone's just looking at doing this short term, like a standard HELOC, and they know they want to move in a few years, it's not the right loan. If you have a family member under the required age of 62, 55 in some states, that needs to stay in that home with no balance ever due on them, it's not the right loan for you. So
Mm-hmm.
we really do believe in finding out what their core reason is. What's the purpose?
Right.
What are you trying to accomplish? We might be the right solution. If not, I'm going to kick you off to my partners and send you to them to look at their other options.
Well, it sounds like you're a wonderful resource for folks that are looking for creative solutions to what tends to be nowadays a very common problem for young families as we get older. Our parents are getting older. We went through that, like I said, we went through that with my mom and dad. And you don't know what you don't know. And
Bingo.
it's just a brutal time to try to figure all of this out when the clock is ticking or the diagnosis has come in. So in addition to the services that people would be able to learn more about by contacting you at Longbridge Financial, in the last couple of minutes that we've got today, because our time just flies on this podcast, I hope that you and I get a chance to talk again. But what would be a piece of advice or an insight that you would like to leave with our viewers today that would serve them as they navigate this tricky but hopefully motivated by love process of helping their aging parents live their life in dignity and in safety and health?
Well, I'm glad you asked. I hope it's okay. I don't get any funds or anything from it, but there is a book from the National Aging in Place Council. You can get it for free on Amazon. You can get a
Okay.
digital copy for free. It's called Difficult Conversations. So it's difficult aging in place conversations.
Oh, nice. Uh-huh.
And I'll
What
send you the information.
I'm looking at the subtitle, what industry? I can't quite see it in the frame. Move the book over just a little bit
Oh,
in
it
front of
says
your
what
camera.
industry experts have to say.
There you go.
So I am actually, I think they closed me out. I think I'm the last chapter, the last author in here. And it is all about professionals talking about these difficult conversations that we need to have with our older adults, whether they're our clients, our family members, our friends, the children, because we're all quitting our job taking care of mom and dad because,
Yep.
yeah, I'm writing a check for $10,000 a month for Ma's care. I
Right.
can't write that check for much longer. I'm in this, I'm a living, breathing. So even professionals find themselves in these situations and don't know what to do. So I do recommend this book. There's multiple conversation pieces on here. It's going to go through all the different experts on what we need to talk about when you've got stubborn parents, right? And you've got all the solutions, and maybe they have the finances, but they just don't want that invasion.
Right.
Home safety tips. When it's time to take the keys, when you're traveling, when you have special
Wow.
needs, how can I get mom to use the walker,
I mean,
dementia?
Kelly, you're just whipping off scenario after scenario after scenario that I remember like it was yesterday going through with my own parents. What a tremendous resource that book is. And again, I think we can put that in the link or somewhere on the website so that folks can refer back to this broadcast and they can order that and locate it, even maybe through their own local libraries. Outstanding. Thank you so much. And Kelly, one more time, what is your phone number if people want to get in touch with you to get more information?
You bet. My phone number is toll free, 888-763-9853. I'll give you my email address as well. I know it's long, but if in a transcript it might work. It's K Rogers, Krogers, at longbridge-financial.com. So
Okay.
go ahead and get a hold of me if you have any questions, want to follow up, whether it's me directly or me getting you in touch with someone. And then I'll send you over the link. Like I said, I don't get any endorsements or anything. You can get a copy of it for free on
Great.
Kindle through at Amazon Prime, I think, for free.
Fantastic. Kelly Rogers, head of Aging in Place Partnerships, certified gerontologist at Longbridge Financial. That's a mouthful, but I feel like it was just scratching the surface. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today. And to all of our viewers out there, please, please, please understand, we come to you through our podcast. Our desire is to help you. It's not just, we're not here to be a commercial or an advertisement for anybody per se. We really want to help you connect the dots, find the resources, and to be able to provide the services and care for, in some cases, maybe even your own family. I feel like we've covered some of that waterfront today with Kelly. Again, thank you so much for being here. I look forward to having you back on the show. I'm Kate Rose. I've enjoyed being with you today on our podcast, Home Care Today. Take good care, and we'll see you next time.